Hey everyone, welcome to Push Your Luck video. My name is Eric, and in today's video review, we'll be looking at Century Spice Road. Now, this is a 2017 release by designer Emerson Matsuuchi and by publisher Plan B games. It plays 2 to 5 players, takes about 30 minutes or so, 30 to 45 minutes or so, and it is kind of a deck building game and resource management game. So you're trying to build up your hand of cards, which will allow you to get different types of cubes or spices. And it also helps you to upgrade these spices, and using these spices you are trying to fulfill objective cards which will score you points. At the end of the game, whoever has the most points will win the game. Now in this triple threats episode, we'll be looking at 3 of the things that I like about Century Spice Roads and 3 of the things I did not like about it, and also I'll give you my final review of the game. Before we begin, please do like this video and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Every little bit helps a lot. Thank you so much. And now on with the triple threat. First up, triple treat. So what did I like about the game? First up, the components. They are gorgeous to look at. They are great. They have also provided nifty little cups to hold your cubes, so that it's easy for you to reach in and grab them rather than they're all scattered out all around the table. Now if you went to Origins, I think at various conventions as well, you can also buy the game mat, which will help you to designate a place where you can place the cards, the objective cards, as well as the cards which you can buy to upgrade your deck. The insert as well is very functional. Every the cards have a space to put them in, the cups holding the cubes have a place to put them in, and surprisingly, if you can put the cubes in, you can close the cover and shake the box around, the cubes will not fall out of the cups. So that's my first treat of the game, the components. My second treat of the game is the deck building aspect of the game. Every player will start with 2 cards. Alright, one is a upgrade card and one is a card which allow you to get cubes. Now during the game, you definitely will need to get cards which will build up your deck, and from there, using the cards in different combinations you can find in the cards that you have collected, you'll try to get more cubes, upgrade the cubes, ultimately to be able to fulfill the objectives. How you get these cards and how your deck then progresses is entirely up to you and the cards that you get to add to your deck. So that's very interesting to me because every player will start the same, alright, but along the way, depending on the choices that you make and the cards that appear, the end result, the end deck that every player has will definitely be very different and will play very differently as well, which will then determine whether you will win or not. So that's my second treat of the game, the deck building part. The last treat of the game for Century Spice Road is the tension that can be created. Now the rules are very simple to explain and very simple to understand. The gameplay is also very simple as well. But the tension that can be created from the game is really impressive. There will definitely be moments, especially if every player is very competitive and plans a few steps ahead, it will definitely come to a point where each player will have the cubes that can satisfy several different objectives, and then it's up to each player to decide when is the opportune time to fulfill those objectives, because if they don't want to set up the next player to be able to fulfill objectives and get the bonus coins, which will often determine who will win the game, because these points these coins will add points to the game, and because whether you get the gold coin or the silver coin will definitely help you to win the game in the end. So I found the most juicy part of the game is when we have these moments where we want to see who blinks first and who will decide to have to give in and pick up an objective card, or else they will not be able to get any at all. So that's my third treat of the game, the tension that can be created. So with so many good points to the game, what can be bad about it? So that leads me to my first threat of the game, the luck of the draw. Now there are quite a few games which suffer from this, and Century Spice Road does suffer a bit from it. There comes a time where, for example, you look at opponents' cubes that they have left. You know that they cannot fulfill any objectives on the board itself. However, someone else could fulfill one objective, which leaves a space, and then a new objective card is drawn, and then that allows the opponent, which couldn't have completed any objective in the first place, now be able to complete one, just because they have the right cubes at the time, and just because that card happened to appear at the time. So the luck of the draw can be frustrating sometimes. Hopefully it doesn't occur too often, because if you do plan ahead, try to plan ahead and try to plan as diverse as you can, then more power to you. But oftentimes this luck of the draw might cause problems for some players. The second threat to the game is the deck, well, a bit of the deck building, or the initial deck building. So right at the beginning, you only have 2 cards, and then you look at the tableau of cards that you can collect. You probably will be at a loss to decide on what cards you want, because right at the beginning, the objectives are there. You can use those as a guide to try to get the cards which allow you to fulfill those objectives. But at the same time, your brain is aware that there will also be new objectives that will appear later on. So in that case, how do you prepare for all these objectives that come out later on? It's quite difficult to do so. And the game is designed in such a way that basically any combination of cards can produce cubes which will allow you to fulfill some sort of objective here and there. It's just that during your game, whether you will actually see these objective cards or not. So that's my second threat of the game, the initial deck building element, the unknown of what cards to actually get. My final threat for Century Spice Road is the theme. I think the theme is, like a lot of these abstract games, the theme is tacked on. It doesn't, you know that you're upgrading cubes here and there, but at no time do people really need to know what the cubes are. You see, know that there are different color cubes, you're upgrading them, and then you're fulfilling objectives. While the artwork is really nice to look at, they don't really, after a while when you play the game, you kind of ignore the artwork. You just look at what the cube does and what the symbols do. So just like Splendor, which this game is often compared to, the theme doesn't really matter. All you need to do is just to know what the cubes does or what the symbols do. So for me, I don't think I can provide a suggestion for how to make the theme better, but right now this is one of the threats for me. So that's my threat number 3. So those are the triple threats for Century Spice Roads. And what did I think about the game? I think the game is fantastic. It is fun, it's easy to learn, and very fun to play. Especially if you have players who are all very competitive, who are blocking each other, actively blocking each other, and trying not to set each other up to get a windfall in terms of the coins or the points, then it becomes a very competitive game. Is it a Splendor killer? I think a lot of people will be comparing Century Spice Roads to a Splendor killer. I think it can be. I definitely feel that because the objectives are changing, or as in objective cards are always changing, and especially the very clever element of having those coins there, it leads to games where you are preparing a few steps ahead, and you can prepare a few steps ahead so that when someone else claims those objectives, and it's pretty clear that you can see what objectives they are claiming, it's not too difficult. So from there you can then plan ahead to see, okay, if they get these objectives, then the objective cards will shuffle down, and I can then claim those objectives and get the bonus coins. So it's a bit more clearer in terms of what your opponents are aiming for. You can see, and at the same time, the deck building is also a more interesting part, a more interesting mechanism as compared to Splendor. So for me, this is a recommended. If you have a chance, do try to get it and check it out and play the game. So that's my review of Century Spice Road by Emerson Matsuuchi. So once again, thanks to everybody for listening to this and watching this video review, and also thank you to Emerson Matsuuchi for this review copy. Thank you so much, and see you again. Bye.